Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. It always makes me laugh when disrespectful people are disrespected after having been disrespectful. We'll tell you more right after a short pause. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. No, Karen, I didn't buy a seat for your bag. Stories from about 8-ish years ago. I was taking the Amtrak out to see family for the holidays, so most seats are booked and thus were assigned on your ticket and such due to how full it was. Also, this was literally a midnight train, which is important to remember later. Any road, being one of the last ones to board, I get over to my seat and find this old woman in her purse taking up the 2 seats. I look up at the seat number, look down at my ticket to make sure I didn't get the numbers mixed up. Lo and behold, my seat was playing host to Karen's bag, so I politely asked her to move it, explaining that it was my seat. She called BS. I showed her my ticket. She told me to piss off and called an attendant. Naturally, when I showed the attendant my ticket, she was told to move her bag, glaring daggers at me as I smugly sat down. Now for bonus petty revenge, I whip out my trusty laptop and decide to play a few computer games. Now, the night trains did have quiet hours for obvious reasons, but I had my sound muted, and per the attendant that Karen tried to call on me, laptop usage isn't prohibited during quiet hours, providing the user has the sound muted or had headphones in. I probably would have just gone to sleep if Karen hadn't tried to block me from my seat that I paid for, but that extra hour of SimCity was totally worth it. Just to stick it to that decrepit old hag clutching her stupid purse that I wasn't willing to donate my seat to. I hope she has a very unhappy holiday. And our second story. Nice old lady gets help, mean old lady gets arrested. I'll start with some background information. I'm about 6 feet tall, have long hair for a guy, and I'm about 16 years old. I'll be referring to the Karen as MOL, mean old lady. Okay, so today was a strange day, and I realized that I ran out of snacks. It was about 10 a.m. at that time, so I figured I'd just go to the big chain store a few blocks away from my house. I'm not really scary, but because of my purple jacket, black pants, and man bun and earphones in blasting rap music, I didn't really look like an employee, or so I thought. I was just browsing the store to find some snacks and maybe something for dinner that day. As I ducked to search between the salted nuts for a decent-looking bag, I felt a hard tap on my shoulder. I turned my music off and turned around, only to see a nice old lady asking me if I could help her. I always get asked to help by old ladies. I don't know why, but they always seem to like me. So I say, sure, what can I help with? She says that she wants a microwave, but she can't lift it into her cart. I tell her that I'll come with her so I can help. I already had everything I needed now, so I just tag along with a nice lady and help her with putting it in her cart and onto the belt. I kept talking to the nice old lady, and she asked me why I was so nice to her, so I say that I just try to help elderly people when I can. She tried to pay for my snacks too, but I rejected her offer because I had my card ready. When I put her microwave in her trunk, she slid a $10 bill into my hand and said it was good to see that some people still behave well. After the nice old lady drives off, I realized that I forgot to buy potatoes for dinner, so I ran home, dropped everything off, and went back in. This time was less wholesome. I entered the store and went immediately to the potatoes. I tried looking for the best bag because the Kane was known for their potatoes that'd have more black spots than any other store, so I find a nice bag of good-looking big potatoes. As I'm lifting the big bag onto my cart, I hear a groan and a tapping of a shoe on the tiled floor. So, thinking that I was standing in the way, I try to move aside, but the MOL isn't having it, so she starts to groan even louder. Knowing that I effed up, I turn around and guess what I see? A not-so-nice looking old lady. She was probably around 60, but was wearing clothes a 20-year-old would wear. I'm talking a crop top and light blue jeans 3 sizes too small, with sandals on, and OFC she had the haircut, but more gray than blonde. I try not to judge anyone, but she was on another level. She loudly said, "Finally, I've been trying to get your attention for at least 5 minutes now." I say, "Sorry, I wasn't paying attention." She then started screaming at me. Not asking, but demanding that I would help her put stuff in her car after she pays for it. I tell her that I'm not going to do that. She then says, "You have no choice. You have to. It's your job. I saw you outside helping the other lady 15 minutes ago. I tell her, first of all, I'm not an employee here, and second of all, if I was, I'd decline to help you due to your behavior against me just now. Then I try to walk away, but she now is in Alpha Karen mode, so she tries to push me aside. She was kinda on the bigger side, so her push with all force kinda was harder than I expected. I ended up tripping over a tile that sticks out partially and faceplant into the aisle next to me. The Karen, knowing what she did, screamed, "Ah, no, don't touch me!" I was completely stunned by her action, so I didn't know what to say. So an employee arrives and she starts crying and telling him her lies while they walk to the closest bench so she can sit to rest after being jumped. I try to get myself back up, but due to my bad landing, I managed to hurt my back and couldn't balance myself properly, so I just decided to lay down and wait until someone arrives. Luckily, an old man saw everything and came up to help me up. I said I can wait and that I didn't want him to hurt his back helping me up, but the old guy wasn't taking no for an answer. He just picked me up gently and gave me his cane to lean on. And giggled, "My wife makes me use it just in case, but I don't need it now." As soon as I thank him, the manager arrives with a not-so-happy look until he sees me barely being able to stand and the old man. He asks me what happened, and I tell him my story, and the old guy backs me up. He then said to me that the police are already on their way and that we can stay in his office until they get there. As soon as we hear sirens, I feel scared. I'm being accused of assaulting an old lady. After MOL did her story and said I should be fired to the police because, yeah, the police can fire me from a store I don't work at, SMH. They come to me and start asking me questions. The old guy's still with us and getting bored, just says, "Jim," apparently the manager's name, "just show them the camera footage instead of wasting this guy's time." The manager says, "Okay, here," and turns his screen to show us the entire thing on security footage. I was so relieved to know that I had proof now. After 10 minutes, he asks if I would like to press charges. I say I'll contact him with my parents later. He gives me his details and we walk out. Me too, but slowly. The officer then cuffs the MOL and she keeps screaming all the way to the car. The old man said he was the manager's old supervisor and was also shopping for dinner that day when he noticed Karen bullying customers. We laughed a little bit and I ended up buying his groceries as a thank you for helping me. And I'm now in the hospital waiting for the results, but they think my back will be fine. Was it worth it? Probably not. Was it on purpose? Probably not. Did she deserve it? Definitely. I may be the a-hole for not helping an elderly lady, but she was well capable of it if she can push me to the floor. Edit. Today I went back to the store for groceries and received a solid 60 in coupons from the employee that believed the MOL first, and she's the only person with a lifetime ban. The store's been open for 20 plus years and she's the only one. I think that says enough about her. And our last story. HOA Karen sold my rare, expensive car for scrap. So I live right next to the Homeowners Association, HOA. My house is literally adjacent to the last house of the HOA, and we even share a fence. And as luck would have it, the head of the HOA board lives in the neighboring house. Let's call her Karen. You won't believe it, but I don't know where Karen came from, but she has this strange, annoying accent, like those British aristocrats from the old Monty Python movies or something similar. Can you imagine how it sounds along with her arrogance and classic Karen personality? "Oh, good morning, OP. I see you, as always, can't be bothered to mow your lawn on time, and it's longer than what we consider acceptable by half a millimeter." Or, "Your dog dared to bark 5 times more than what's allowed in our regulations. You better have a talk with him." Or, "Oh, hello, filthy peasant. I would offer you a handshake, but I'm afraid you'll infect me with cholera." Or at least that's what it all sounds like to me. Oh my God, lady, I'm not a part of your GD swamp called the HOA. And over time, I even got used to this and started treating Karen with humor, like a local attraction, if it weren't for one incident that happened later. To explain, I have a hobby when I'm not at work. I restore vintage and rare cars as projects, sometimes even taking them to exhibitions. It usually takes me around 3 years to complete one car, and about 6 months are usually spent searching for original parts. So one day, I heard that annoying voice again. Mr. OP, having such a dirty car parked on the curb is lowering the property value of our entire neighborhood. Remove it, or I'll have to deal with it myself. At that time, I was about to sell my old restored project, and I came across an old armored Mercedes-Benz 350 SL, which probably belonged to some Iranian sheik or something like that. It even had a couple of patched up bullet holes on the outer panels, LOL. I told Karen, "Ma'am, I'm not a part of the HOA. I repeat, this is my private land and my driveway." Karen interrupted. "This rusty car can affect the value of our entire neighborhood, and if that happens, me and all my neighbors will sue you collectively, so get rid of it quickly." Ma'am, this car's worth 3 times more than your Micra, so it won't affect your property value at all. End of discussion. Karen made a strange noise. Up Thuo attempted to clear her throat like an old sailor, but ended up spitting on her own shirt, and this still wasn't some silly comedy with Adam Sandler you can imagine. She left, and I thought that was the end of it. But oh no, it wasn't. The next day, when I went to visit my father, I came back and the car was gone. It turned out Karen had hired someone, probably her cousin who works as a tow truck driver, to take my car to the scrapyard. And since the car didn't have license plates and had the steering wheel on the other side, they somehow accepted it at the scrapyard. Thankfully, I had security cameras installed and I managed to record the tow truck's license plate. Interestingly, Karen tried to pin it all on her cousin, but he didn't even know that it wasn't her property or her car. She got a 3-year probation and had to pay me $30,000 in damages. And I even managed to retrieve the car from the scrapyard. Luckily, they hadn't crushed it yet. Although someone had stolen the wheels, LOL. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.